It's generally where Bachlim hang out in the interim. Okay. We got up to Ois Daled. The Rebbe is first understanding that it talks about the fact that Shlichus, the Shar, the gateway for the success of Shlichus is Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. That's the Ikar Shlichus of the day. We understand what a Shaliach is, how Mashiach is Shaykh to Shaliach, and we saw that from Moshe Rabbeinu Shlach Nabiyad Tishlach. Right, and what was that amazing thing? That Moshe is asking to be Goyal Achre, which means that the whole idea of Yispashtus of the Moshe B'chol Dara V'Dara, the expression of Moshe in every generation, comes as a result of that. That idea, which we take for granted, not granted, meaning it's something that's so obvious in Chassidus, so that the Rebbe doesn't say it, but the simple pshat is it came as a result of that request. So first, the Rebbe is going to explain the union of Shlichus. And he explains that by understanding the story of Eliezer going to get a wife for Yitzchak. The question arose, is he a Shaliach or a Shadchan? The Rebbe said very clearly he's a Shaliach. Avram sent everything that he had with him. And now the Rebbe is going to explain the union of the Shlichus of Eliezer within the context of the Klutz Kasha. He's Daled. Habir b'zayuv bagdam sheilin esefes. This can be explained based on another question, a Klutz Kasha. Everybody's trying to understand how it is that why is it that Avram gave, and how could he give everything that he had to Eliezer if there's a suffix whether Eliezer is actually going to be successful at this whole thing. Alzeh sheshtar matana kosav liyitzchok. He gave a shtar matana liyitzchok. Shtar that is a gift, meaning what's written in the shtar is the gift. Al kol esheloi, and everything that he has, in order that they would jump to send to Yitzchak their daughter. Everybody wants a rich chassid. Even relative to mitzvah tzedakah, hadin hu the person is not allowed to give all of his money to the Beis HaMikdash. But, right, he says, all of my wealth goes to the Beis HaMikdash and leaves himself destitute. And the person who does this transgresses the basic understanding of the pasuk. He doesn't say explicitly, but anybody who reads the pasuk would understand. What does the pasuk say? The pasuk relative to tzedakah and relative to being makdish things, giving things to hektish. Mi kol asher loy. From all that he has, v'loy kol asher loy, not all that he has. Mi kol, from it, part of it. Ech yitachen efa, therefore, we all know what the word efa means. Ech yitachen efa, she'avram masar kol asher loy litzchak. So then how could Avram give everything to Yitzchak? Right? Now, how old is Avram when this is happening? How old is Yitzchak when he gets married? It's psukim in Torah. You're allowed to know it. Okay, we'll see. I was going to explain. Right, how old was Avram when Yitzchak was born? That people should know. Don't know that? Okay, say that. You have to learn the Chumash. 99. He was 100 years old. Right. He was indeed, the whole story starts when he's 99, but usually it takes some time, these things. He's 100 years old. Yitzchak was 40 when they went to find him a wife. So how old was Avram? This is easy math.
140.
140, there you go. 40 and 100 is definitely 140 in base 10. Okay, how old did Avram live to be? Oh, good. 175. 175. Right? Lived to be 175. Right? Okay, so he's got 35 years more to live. That's a relatively long period of time. How can he possibly give away all his money? What's he going to do? Live on the street of San Francisco? Right? So how can he give away all his money? Even if he would give it then as a Yerusha, then it wouldn't be understood. That they would want to send their daughter to Yitzchak, and if he had a little less, they wouldn't. Even if he didn't give all that he had, but only most, that'd be enough. Because he was extremely wealthy. So he had $5 billion. So why didn't he give 4.5? Why did he give 5? He can live on $500 million. He'll do okay. That Avram was an extremely wealthy person. So why give everything? And we also saw that there might be a tzad isser to it. Ubefrat. Now the Rebbe is going to explain. Shavim hayaz ben kuf mem shani. He was 140 years old. V'chayach hakachod kama v'kama lamed shanim. He lived another 35 years. Umamela, if consequently, hayazokak l'nechosim. He needed properties. Avur atzmai, for himself, for b'nei beisa, and for his house. Obviously, someone with that kind of money also has a rather large household. Right? A lot of sheep, a lot of goats, a lot of cows. Is a whole geschäft. Ubefra, and people to take care of that, obviously. Ubefrat lachav Yosef Avram v'yikach isha v'teiled lei, and especially after the fact that Avram took another wife and had more children, so he also had to take care of those children. In the end, he sent them to the east with matanos. Rashi says shemus of Tuma, which is probably where a lot of the Avodah Zarah from the east came from. What's a wise man in the east called? A Brahmin. Who does that sound like? A Brahmin. Pnimius inyonim. We could explain this. Al pi mashin nemar, that's what it says. Yitzchak ben Avram had lidus Yitzchak. That Yitzchak is the son of Avram. Avram gave birth to Yitzchak. Obviously, the second half of the pasuk is rather redundant since we said it in the first half. Chazal explain. V'amr Chazal, why does it say it twice? Cluster panav shel Yitzchak demil Avram. Yitzchak looked exactly like Avram. Shechein gam b'pnimiusam b'veidosam. So also in Pnimius and in Avodah, Hem hayu b'chlolus davar echad. So they're really one. V'hem shech echad, one continuance. Avos ein henem merkava, the avos of the chariot, the ones that bring it Kadosh Baruch Hu into the world. Okay, but that's all. But Pnimius of Aladain Sarach Bir b'pashtus inyani al pi niglos. You have to understand, why would he give away all his money? V'yesh lam rabir b'zeh. Now the Rebbe explains what's going on with finding a wife for Yitzchak. Nisuyi Yitzchak v'Rivka, the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka, and Nisuyin, the marriage, v'achana l'Nisuyin, and the preparation for marriage, harishonim v'ksuvim b'Torah, first ones that are written in the Torah. Einem rak Nisuyim pratim, are not simply a private matter bein shnei yechidim, between two individuals, Yitzchak and Rivka. Ele inyan haki klali, it's the most general of ideas imaginable. As a matter of fact, it's the side of all of creation. Ella, hayu anisuyim harishonim shel zug Yehudi, achrei kiyum mitzvahs mila, was the first wedding after the performance of Mila. V'yaserim is al yedei nisuyin halalu, by virtue of this nisuyin, nasu, what happened? Told us. Generations. Ahem shek shel klal Yisrael. Without this, there's no Yidden. Kloimar, neisef al nisuyin aprotim ben Yitzchak leRivka. In addition to the private matter of Yitzchak and Rivka getting married, two individual people, mivvatim nisuyayim as a nisuyim shel klal Yisrael. This also expresses the marriage of the Jewish people. Hanisuyin halalu, and we'll see even what that means. Hanisuyin halalu heviu as the toldos, it brought the generations, ve'ifshuru, and it allowed for as hemshech kiyum am Yisrael ad sof kol haderos, the continuation of the existence of the Jewish people until the end of time, end of all the generations. V'yesh leimar, shalochein maser Avram al inyan zeh kol asher loy liyitzchak b'nei. Why did Avram give everything he had to the Yitzchak? Because what was happening was the single most important and klolistic event imaginable. This is not simply a private wedding between Yitzchak and Rivka. El and Nisun shel Klal Yisrael. This affects every aspect of Avram himself. Avram's etzem is tied up in this chasna because Avram's etzem is all about the creation of the Jewish people. That he's the head of the Jewish people, Yehudi Arishon, the first Yid. Mishum kach hu hichnis b'zeh kol koich. He put all of his energy, kol sheloi, everything, his whole etzem went into this. And we'll understand even more later when we understand the pneumius of it, which is Oisvav. If we're talking about Avram as a private father of a chassan named Yitzchak, it's not reasonable that he'll give b'matana kol sheloi, everything that he has for chasnas b'nei, for his child's chasna. Don't do that. Only a portion, vafilu roiv, even if a person were to give the majority, who knows in low, but not all. V'chelik hu mashir la'avram, v'chelik, some of it he'll leave over for himself, he has to live. Aval miyach, hashin nisuyin halalu. And again, we'll understand this in Panemius. Miyach, hashin nisuyin halalu, him ki inyan haki klali, him inyan haki klali, they're the most general idea imaginable. Shemakif is kol klali, so that somehow surrounds and encompasses all of the Jewish people. Shezeu kol mahusay v'inyan shel Avram, and this is the whole being of Avram Karesho Kol Yisrael Yehudi Arishon. Ein moken. Therefore, there's no place sheyishar chelik, that there should be left a portion. Vafilu prat hachiketan, even the smallest detail of Avram's reality shel Avram, because all of Avram is about what's about to happen. There's nothing outside of this that is in any way, shape, or form a part of Avram. But oifen, shu muvdal mizeh, chas v'shalom, there shouldn't be any part of Avram that's not part of this incredible event that's about to happen. Because this incredible event isn't a marriage of two people. It is. It's also obviously that. But it's much more than that. This is the beginning of the Jewish people, the continuation of the Jewish people. This is allowing for Avram's Aveda and Elam Hazah to continue. And without this, there's nothing. So there's no piece of Avram left out of this. Lochin there, what did he do? In Gashmis, what did he do? Nasan like kol asher lo, he gave him everything. Who nasan umasa bezes atzmei legamrei im kol asher lo, he gave over his whole being, all that he has. So that's the simple pshat in it all. Looking footnote 53. Valderech shehu b'tzedakah, similarly in tzedakah. Shagbola, the limitation, shelo yakdish adam, v'lo yachrim kol nechosav, the person shouldn't give all of his property to tzedakah. Who loy is not relevant, someone who still requires a very serious fixing of his neshama. Pshita, shaloi gada refuas hanefesh refuas aguf. Obviously, healing your body healing your soul is no less than healing your goof. Now, what if a person had a deadly disease? What would he do? Would he go into debt to heal himself? Of course he'd go into debt. Would he use all the money he has to heal himself? Of course he'd use all the money he has to heal himself. Fine. And he'd go into debt. He'd borrow money. If he had to chas v'shalom have an operation, it was very expensive. So he'd do whatever he had to do to stay alive. And he would not only do that for himself, he'd do that for a loved one. Shein kesef nechshav. Kesef is not considered in any way, shape, or form part of the decision. The decision is what's best for this person's health. And if it happens to be that means that they're going to have to borrow $100,000 that they don't have, so they'll borrow $100,000. What? There's no question. It's not part of the. Well, no, we can't afford it, so you're going to die. God forbid. No, people don't make that cheshbon. So too. What about in Ruchnius? What if Ruchnius, a person is in a situation that mamish, the best thing they could possibly do is just give unbelievable amounts of tzedakah to bring about the refuah. All that there is to a person, he should give for his soul. Right? So relative to certain situations, a person will give much more money to tzedakah than is halachically necessary. Skip the brackets, the parentheses. Shezeu inyan negei lenafshei shelamayla means tzedakah shehidin mamayne. Right? This is something that's relevant to a soul that's beyond money. Right? So too we can say relative to the Nesuyim of Yitzchak and Rivka, should be Inyan Kloli, since it's something so essential and important, Hanegel Klal Yisrael, that affects all of the Jewish people. Meila Negeh ben Nafsho Shel Avram, so therefore it affects the soul of Avram. Nosan lo Yekol Sheloi. Okay, so the Rebbe is explaining Alpi Nigla. Alpi Nigla, what would allow him to do this? What allows him to do this is the person is allowed to do this to save their lives. Okay, so that's what he's doing. This is absolutely and completely and totally shayach to the tikkun nafshe of Avram, and to the extent that this is his shlichus. This is what he has to do. All right. Rabbi then explains also that Yitzchak would have to, as said Kivud Av, support his father with some of this money. So I think that's in the master. So there's not such a problem regarding him giving all this money. V'oid, furthermore, top of the column, second column, 291. Hanisuyim b'aim dafka b'keicha shel Avram. This marriage is coming specifically through the power of Avram Avinu. Avram Halidus Yitzchak, Umalas Yitzchak. He gave birth to him. He gave him Milo. Ve'achakach naser shidduch b'feil. And then afterwards, the shidduch actually happened. Al yedei shlichus shel Eliezer al yedei Avram. Avram is the one making the shidduch. Eliezer is the shliach, but Avram is the making the shidduch. Lochein hayitzarech lahaknis b'zeh kol sheloi. Puts his whole being into it. Therefore, it's sweetened to say. In other words, we can understand Eliezer even deeper to understand that Eliezer wasn't a shadchan, metzias la'atzmei, his own metzias, but he's just bringing together these two things. Ela begeder shaliach. He's a shaliach, and what does that mean? K'meisei the mishaleach. He's like the mishaleach. He's one with the mishaleach. K'shem shenasinas kol asher loi. Just like giving everything there is to it, tzricha liyos muchletes has to be complete. I mean, when Avram gave, he gave. Bli shum prat michutz lezeh, without any detail outside of it. Meaning Avram didn't leave 10 cents behind, because then there would be a little piece of Avram not involved in this. So therefore, the Rebbe says an amazing thing. Kach muvan gam b'negel Eliezer. So too, relative to Eliezer. B'frat, particularly, shegam hu hayachelik mikol asher loi. Which is also amazing. When he gave everything to Yitzchak, what's included in that everything? Eliezer. Eliezer is an eved of Avram, it's part of his property. So Eliezer has also been given to Yitzchak. But Eliezer has to be like Avram. What's Avram doing? He's giving his whole being into this. So to the Shaliach Sha'ad K'meisei. Shaliach is like the one who sent him. Therefore, Shekol Metziusei. All of the metzias of Eliezer, gam kefishu ha'ilich lasos as a shidduch al pi dat, even as he's going to do the shidduch based on his own understanding, as we'll see, because he has to figure out how to do it. Tia k'meisei de mishaleach, will be like the mishaleach. Shluchei shel adam k'meisei. Avraham Avinu is completely and totally invested in this. So Eliezer, as his shaliach, has to be completely and totally invested in this. Otherwise, he's not a shaliach. What is he? He's a shadchan. Rabbi says an amazing thing. What's a shadchan? A shadchan can bring people together. brings people together, but he's not a shaliach. Shaliach does something a shadchan doesn't do. So when the Rebbe was talking, who was he talking to? He's talking to shluchim. Right? What's the Rebbe saying to the shluchim? You can be a shadchan or you can be a shaliach. If you're a shadchan, what does that mean? That means you're bringing people into Yiddishkeit, you're bringing people into a relationship with me, but you're not bottled to me, you're not my shaliach. You're not like me. You're doing it mitzad yourself, and you just happen to think it's a nice thing to do, so that's what you're doing. That's a shadchan. It's an amazing thing to do, it's wonderful, but it's not a shaliach. A shaliach is someone who's completely bottled to the mishaleach. What the mishaleach wants, that's what the shaliach does, and the shaliach has no metzias outside of the mishaleach, has no deyot outside of the mishaleach, it doesn't have his own opinions outside of the mishaleach. He's a shaliach. The shaliach doesn't have opinions relative to this particular issue. The shaliach is doing what the mishaleach wants. That's what a shaliach is all about. A shadchan has an opinion. The shadchan can decide that maybe this is the way to do it, this is the way to do it, this is what should happen, this is what should happen. That's a shadchan. Shaliach is completely bottled to the mishaleach. Which is obviously something that shluchim sit and bring about a lot. Because it's very easy within the context of shlichus to think that, well, okay, the Rebbe is very makbid on a particular thing, but maybe it's not so important in my community because my community works this way and works that way, The Rebbe said things are supposed to work a certain way, and then it's the Rebbe shaliach, you make sure they work that way or you don't do it. You can't change it. Why? Because you're a shaliach, you're not a shadchan. Shadchan do what they want. They're still bringing people to where they're supposed to. They're connecting people. Seder, but they're not connecting people as a shaliach. Amazing thing the Rebbe is saying here. By Eliezer, there's no place for any other metzias. But dugma shadchan, which is a shadchan, shehu metzias la'atzmei, has his own existence. Ve'ena metzias is the mishaleach. His metzias is not the mishaleach. He doesn't see himself as he doesn't define himself in terms of the mishaleach. He's a shadchan. He thinks the mishaleach is something very, very important. He's actually bringing people to the mishaleach. But mitzad himself, not mitzad the mishaleach. Okay, so that's the basic answer that the Rebbe gives, that since, in Nigla, I mean, just basic understanding, basic pshat, that since Avraham Avinu was completely and totally invested in this shidduch because of the centrality of this shidduch in terms of what's going to happen in Avraham Avinu's Aveda and Shlichus in this world, Avraham Avinu is a shliach of the Eibishter to bring about the reality called Klal Yisrael. And that those are people who are going to ultimately go get the Torah and bring about the change in the world. Okay, so what does he need? He needs kinder, and he needs einaklach. He needs grandchildren. So he has a child, and he has to get that child married, and that child has to get married and have children. And then Bezrat Hashem, the whole thing will work. And without that, it's not going to work. Okay, so Avram put every ounce of his being into this, and that's represented by writing the Shtar Matana for Kol Asher Lo. Okay. Now the Pnimius of it all. Habir b'zeh Pnimius in you. The Lekutei Torah b'Sefer. Lekutei Torah in the end. It's very interesting that it's in the end. Now Rebbe's going to talk about that. Mevar Kfei Kedushas Admar Zokin. The Alter Rebbe explains about the Nisui, before we turn the page, you can turn the page, about the Nisuin of Rivka and Yitzchak and Rivka. Now, that's not the right place for it. Where should it be? It should be in Parshas Chaye Sara. And the only thing is a short, little, tiny piece in the Kutei Torah. It's the shortest parsha in the whole Torah. It's a tiny little piece in Marsa Machpelah. That's all there is. A little piece in Marsa Machpelah. Nothing about the whole story in the parsha. The whole story in the parsha is the shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka. It's not discussed in Parshas Chaye Sara. Where does the Alter Rebbe discuss it? At the very end of Lekutei Torah. Right. Okay. It's the most general thing in the Torah, b'chol seder ishtalshelus, and we'll see why, and in all of the downward emanation of the worlds. And it ultimately is going to express what reality is all about and what Aveda is all about, as the Rebbe will explain. HaMishakef, that Mishakef means allows to be revealed, right? Like if you talk about light being Mishakef through a cup or something, through a glass. hamishakef is klolus of Vedas Adam. That sheds light on the basic avodah of a person. And what's that? Yichud ma, Yitzchak, uban, Rivka. What are ma and ban? Well, let's just read to the end of the paragraph, and then we'll come back and see what ma and ban. Shezeu a yichud shel neshama, ma, vaguf, ban, shel kol Yehudi. Ad, such an extent, shleimus a yichud v'nisuyin ben Yisrael, the ultimate expression of the unity and the marriage ben Yisrael, can the shamas begufim, as in the shama in a body, l'kadosh baruch hu, the neshama in the guf, Yisrael v'kodesh baruch hu kol echad, Yisrael and the Eibishter are one. Kefi shezeh yeh begula mitzvos v'shleim, as it will be when Mashiach comes. Lachar aschala b'zeh, after the beginning of all this, and what was that? That's the Ederson, the first part of marriage. Right? There's two parts. There's being betrothed. That's Ederson. And then there's Nisuyin. When does Erison happen? Erison happens when the Chosin gives the ring to the Kala. They're now Me'urasim. They're now betrothed. But they're not married. When are they married? When they live together. That's Nisuyin. Two different parts of the process. That's why in English we'll say someone got engaged. So that's fine. Right? But the Rebbe is very makpid that we don't say about two people, shehit arsu, which is how you would say in modern Hebrew, the way you'd say engaged is hit arsu. But that's not true, because they're not in a state of erison. They're not betrothed. Erison is when the husband gives when the man gives the woman a ring and says, Hariat Mekudesh is libet the bazar gedas Moshe Yisrael, and she accepts the ring, now they're betrothed. And if they decide 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later or a year later that they don't want to go through with it, even though they haven't lived together, they need a get. Whereas if two people decide they're going to get married and then a month later they said they're not going to get married, they don't need a get, they're not married, nothing happened. Right? Therefore, to call what happens when a person gets so-called engaged is not hit arsu, absolutely not. So remember, it's very, very makpid that we don't say that when people speak Hebrew. Because again, in modern Hebrew, that's what people will say. It's not true. What do people say in Lubavitch? What do people very makpid to say? Nichnesu b'kishrei shidduchim. They entered into the bonds of a shidduch. I mean, they got engaged in English. But in no way, shape, or form is it a binding thing. In no way, shape, or form is there any halachic reality. None. Okay. After Erison, if the woman were to have an adulterous relationship, she's put to death. She never lived with her husband. In the old days, Erison was a year away from the Nisuyin. They would do Erison and then go back to their houses and prepare for another year, and then they do Nisuyin. Sheva brachas are shaykh to Nisuyin. We do it all together. That's why we do it under a chuppah. Nisuyin is also called chuppah. So when was the erison of the Jewish people at the Eibishter? Torah. When will we start living together? You might say Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, that's the Nisuyin. So what's the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka? I meant to not do that. Whatever. Okay. Yitzchak and Rivka. Yitzchak is Ma, Rivka is Ban. What's Ma and Ban? Transcendent reality and immanent reality. The yichud of Sevev and Mamale. The yichud of godly reality and created reality. The ultimate purpose of creation. What's Ma? So now, the Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. The Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei can be written, there's 4 different permutations of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Right, because let's just do it on the board very, very quickly. And is there a pen on the table? If there's a pen on the table, I'll do it on the board. Sounds like this. Yeah. There is. Yud can be spelled, well, it's spelled one way, like that. Hey can be spelled like that, or like that. Vav can be spelled like that, or like that. And then hey, again. Yeah? True? You spell the letter out, right? And how do you spell the letter Dalet? Now you'll see it like that. And you know they're spelling out the letter Dalet. Okay? So now that allows for four different basic, obviously, but four basic permutations of Shin Yud Kei Vav Kei. And those four are Shem Ma, which is Gematria 45, Shem Ban, which is Gematria 52, Shem Sag, which is Gematria 63, and Shem Ab, which is Gematria 72. Now how do you do that? Well, if you do Yud, which is 20, and K, which is 12, yeah? Okay? And then, I'm sorry, 6. Yud, and then 6 is, so that's 26, and then another 6 is 20, is 32, and then Vav, Aleph, Vav, right? This is called Milui Aleph. If you do it to Aleph, so then it adds up to 45. 20 plus 6 plus 6 plus 13 is 45, right? Okay. You want to get another 7, okay, so you do Yud, which is 20, and you do Milui Hey, right? Hey, so that's another 10, 20, which is 40, right? And Vav Vav, another 12, that's 52, right? So Ma is Milui Aleph. You're adding an Aleph when you're spelling. This is Milui Hey, Hey. And there's no Milui by the Vav. No Hey by the Vav. Okay? So that's 52. 63, Yud, Hey Yud, right? So that's 15 and 15 is 30, and 20 is 50, and another 13 is Vav, Aleph, Vav, right? And if you want Shem Ayin Beis, so that's Milui Yud the whole way. Yud, Hey Yud, 20, 15 is 50, and another 22. Okay? So that's just the remnants. Now you get to those names. Now what do those names represent? So Shem Ma, Shem Bittel, Nachnu Ma, Chochma, Nachnu Ma. Alright? It's also Gematria Adam. Shem Ban is Malchus, also Gematria Behema. Okay. So Neshama and Guf. Ma is transcendent godly reality, Ban is immanent physical reality. So the yichud of Ma and Ban is what reality is all about. Bringing about a yichud of spiritual godly reality and created physical reality. The shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka, every shidduch is that, but the shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka is the most essential expression of that, and is a representative of the whole purpose of creation. And therefore Avram Avinu gives kol asher lo for that. Everything he's got to bring about this shidduch. Because this shidduch, these two people also are obviously very, very special people. And they represent these two levels in the most powerful way. Who's Rivka? So Rivka is the Shoshana Bein HaChochim. She's the rose amongst the thorns. So mitzad echad, she's amongst the thorns. She's ban, she's goof, body, but she's a rose. She's the most positive and powerful and holy expression of all of that. Therefore, the yichud of Yitzchak and Rivka is ultimately Mashiach. the yichud of godly reality and physical reality. So this shidduch represents the whole purpose of creation. That's what we just learned about the shidduch. Right? That's what the Rebbe just said, yichud man ban. And that's shlichus. Shlichus is all about yichud man ban, and we'll see the way the Eibishter wants that yichud to happen is through our shlichus. The Eibishter doesn't want to do it himself. He wants us to do it. We're shluchim to bring about the yichud of man ban. We're all Eliezer. Shebezeh, in this yichud of man ban, misbate klolos avedas ha'adam b'kibbut Torah mitzvos ba'olam hazeh hagashmi hayichud shel man ban. Right? So Rabbi said, and that's it. I mean, you look in Chassidus. That's what it's all about. It's all about the yichud of man ban. It's all about the yichud of spiritual, godly reality and physical reality. We're down here in the physical, and the idea is to elevate the physical up to a state of godliness and to draw down the godliness into the physical. That's what we're doing. What's that? That's called yichud man ban. As simple as that. That's what the Rebbe just said in that line. What the Rebbe said. This expresses the basic notion of the service of a person through the performance of Torah and mitzvahs in this world. What does it mean? Hayichud shel man ban. That's what Torah and mitzvahs are all about. HaChiddush shel matan Torah mizbate b'zeh. What did Matan Torah bring about? What's the Chiddush of Matan Torah? The information is not a Chiddush. There's nothing in Torah that was a big Chiddush. Why? The Avos were Mekayim, Kol Torah Kula, right? The Avos they did all the mitzvahs. So there's no, the mitzvahs, that's not, what do you mean mitzvahs? Right? You got to do the mitzvahs. They put on tefillin, right? They kept Shabbos. They have a, light, what did light give the malachim to eat in Stoim? Matzah. Why? It was Pesach, Rashi says. Light, right? I mean, he's not the biggest tzaddik in the world at that point. He's eating matzahs on Pesach. Right? Okay. How exactly you keep Pesach before Yetzias Mitzrayim? I don't know, but it's all, they understood the ruchnis of it all. So it's not so much the information in the Torah. So then, that could have been given over orally, and it was given over orally. So then what's the Chiddush of Matan Torah? So we know what the Chiddush of Matan Torah is. The Chiddush of Matan Torah is expressed in the fact, Sha'az, what happened? Nisbatla ha'gezera, it was done away with, the decree, Shehifrida bein elyonim l'tachtenim, that separated between upper realms and lower realms. Ruchnius and Gashmius, spirituality and physicality. Ma'uban. Man ban. Torah is all about the yichud of man ban. What does that mean? That means before Matan Torah, when a person did a mitzvah, the physical object wasn't elevated to a state of kedusha in any way, shape, or form. Whereas when you do a mitzvah, you elevate that piece, that physical object to a state of kedusha, and therefore that piece of paper that you're learning right now, this mimer you're learning from this piece of paper, there's no Shem Hashem on this thing. Okay, so the ones that haven't been learned from, these ones, can be put in the garbage. No, we don't, but you can. You throw this in the garbage. Can you throw yours in the garbage? No. Why? You learned from it. When you learned it, you transformed the metaphysical reality of those pieces of paper into a state of kedusha. By virtue of your learning, you were miyached man ban. What brought about the possibility to do that? Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, the object used for a mitzvah could be thrown in the garbage afterwards. There's no kedusha whatsoever. The kedusha was only mitzvah the person who did the mitzvah, but there was no kedusha imbued in the gashmius itself, unless the mitzvah was actually specifically commanded by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, in the story that we're reading about, right, where do we see an example of the one thing in the world that had kedusha, one physical object that was actually holy? In the story we're reading about in this Sichas. What was Eliezer told to do before he went on the road? The Rabbi mentioned it. If I ask you this after Parshas Chaye Sara next year, I might throw you off a balcony. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this year. You can't not know the Torah. It's not, you have to learn Chittas every week. Right? And you have to mamish learn Chittas every week. Yeah, but it's the Torah. There can't be stories in the Torah you don't know. There's no such thing. Okay, what happened? Eliezer was on his way, and Avram asked Eliezer to take an oath. And what did Eliezer hold on to when he took the oath? The bris milah of Avram Avinu. Why did he hold on to the bris milah of Avram Avinu? What was the only physical object in the world that actually was imbued with kedusha? The bris milah of Avram. Why? Because that was the only mitzvah that Avram did that the Eibusher told him to do. All the other mitzvahs he did without the Eibusher telling him to do. And as a matter of fact, there's obvious questions involved. And this is the mimer that said at every bris, the mimer from the Alter Rebbe that we say at every bris. Avram Avinu kept the whole Torah. Therefore, what should he have done a long time ago? No, hello. He kept the whole Torah. What should he have done? At a bris. I say it's not in the Torah. Oh, so there's all sorts of different ideas as to why, but Avram Avinu, for whatever reason, wanted that. Avram Avinu, the Eibusher, both of them, right, wanted that mitzvah to be a function of a tzivui milamayla, a command from above, different than every other mitzvah Avram Avinu did. Oh, okay. One of the advantages of that, one of them, is that now that object is now imbued with kedusha. Why? Because it's now a function of a mitzvah min lamayla. It's not that Avram Avinu himself has figured out that this is an expression of the will of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, he took a lulav and an esrog. Right? Okay, so that's amazing. But the lulav and esrog have no kedusha. Avram Avinu is elevated, but the lulav and esrog have no kedusha. And it might even be that they didn't do exactly the same mitzvah. The mitzvah of tefillin. So we know that Yaakov Avinu did the mitzvah of tefillin by putting stripes on sheep. He fulfilled in Ruchnius whatever the mitzvah of tefillin is by putting stripes on the sheep with the pieces of wood, etc. Why? Well, it's sort of hard to have tefillin before Tzias Mitzrayim. Why? Why is it going to be hard? Yeah, so
the scrolls inside the tefillin.
so what are you going to write? Exactly. What are you going to write inside? Right? There's nothing to write yet. Okay, that's why there's an interesting question as to what they did for the first 40 years in the desert in their tefillin, since Shema and V'hayim Shemaya hadn't been written yet. But it's actually, the Rebbe actually mentions in a mimer, I don't remember which mimer, Zayis Chukas, I think. Zayis Chukas, the Rebbe mentions that it must be they knew Shema Yisrael. How do we know they knew Shema Yisrael? How do we know from the Torah that they must have known all of Shema Yisrael even before it was actually said by Moshe or written in the Torah? Right? What does Korach say to Moshe? First year they're in the Midbar. What does Korach say to Moshe? Ask him a number of questions. He says, a bayis molei sfarim, a house full of books. What's his question? A house full of books, Rashi and Chumash. It's all right, we haven't seen it yet this year. You're going to see it soon. You'll see it in Korach, which is in Bamidbar, and you'll know it. And when I ask you, sometime in the summer, you'll know it backwards and forwards. Say, what does Korach say? A house full of books, does it need a mezuzah? Beged, that's completely chelis, does it need tzitzis? Oh, where's mezuzah written? How do you know about a mezuzah? How do you know about a mezuzah? It must be they knew the information. So they knew Kriyashma. It hadn't been said by Moshe yet, but they knew Kriyashma. How do you know? Well, he's talking about a mezuzah, and that there's only two places in the Torah that mezuzah is written, and that's Shema V'hayim Shemeya. Which is an amazing thing, right? No one asked the question by Korach, how does Korach know there's such a thing called a mezuzah, right? So Parshas Korach is after Shlach. So tzitzis he could know, because tzitzis are in Shlach. Okay. So the Parsha of tzitzis is in Parshas Shlach, the third Parsha of Kriyashma. Okay, so that just happened. So you could ask about tzitzis and chelis. Okay, so how do you know about a mezuzah? Okay, so they knew it anyway. Okay, that being said, The mitzvahs were reichanim. They were ruach. They were all spiritual. They weren't physical. Therefore, they didn't affect the physical world. What did Matan Torah bring about? Now you can do exactly the same action that you did before Matan Torah, but now it affects physicality, so physicality has been elevated to a state of Kedusha. And that you couldn't do before Matan Torah. And that's what the Rebbe says here. Sha'az nisbatla ha-gezeda. There was a gezeda. What was the gezeda? El yonim lo yerdu le-tachtenim, v'tachtenim lo yalu le-el yonim. It's a Medrash Tanchuma, that the upper realms can't come down to the lower realms, and the lower realms won't go up to the upper realms. So what's the mashal? Romi won't go up to Surya, and Surya won't go, the other way around. Surya won't go up to Romi, and Romi won't come down to Surya. Right? Then what happened? The Yibtu was mevatel the gezeda. And he said, Vani aschil, and I'll begin. V'yeder avayal ar Sinai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down on the mountain. Ba'az, after the parentheses, Nitan HaKayach was given the power, lechaber, to join, le'ached, and to unite Gashmis and Ruchnis. Ma'um ban, ban and ma. Shaguf HaGashmi, the physical body, Vadavar HaGashmi, and the physical object, Ye'asa Kodesh, can become holy. Ad lechefza shel kedusha, until it can become an object of kedusha. Avram Avinu's bris milah became an chefza to kedusha. So then Eliezer had to take an oath. He had something to hold on to. Ushleimus yichud zeh, and the completion of this unity shel ma'oban, but tachlis ashleimus vagilu, in the ultimate complete and revealed way, yeh begula mitis v'shlema. That's going to happen b'yemei Mashiach. Va'adar ba'azia and the kevet t'seviv gever. It'll come in Siftes, and then there'll be even a greater advantage, whereas now, what's happening, so there's a certain power that Yitzhak has that Rivka might not have, right? And so therefore there's the Yichud of Man Ban is to a certain degree more mitzad the Ba of it than the Ban of it. But what's going to happen in Lasid Lave Adrabah, in the cave of the Seviv Gever, that the femininity is going to surround masculinity, the power of femininity to be revealed, which is Ban. Malchus. That's the panemius of the kala surrounding the chassan under the chuppah, because the chuppah is a little taste of Mashiach. So Bezrat Hashem, in 2 days, you'll see a kala walk around the chassan 7 times, and the panemius of all that is it's Mashiach. Let's do one more paragraph. Al pizem evar b'Likutei Torah. Therefore, it's explained in Likutei Torah. Madua Torah maricha oide shlichus Eliezer. Why does the Torah give a great long expose of the shlichus of Eliezer? Ad sheparsha Eliezer kfula b'Torah, until it's actually told over twice. Shechein zeh haya inyan shlichus to Eliezer. This was the shlichus of Eliezer. Why is this so central to the Torah? We tell the whole story twice, because this is the most central part of all of Veda. This is telling us what Veda is all about, what the whole world exists for. Zeh inyan shlichus to Eliezer levarer lahamshich, to ultimately bring about yichud zeh, this unity shel Yitzchak v'Rivka ma'oban. So therefore, the Torah goes through great length, telling us all the different details of it. So we'll learn, and Rebbe's going to explain to us what we learn from all those details. We'll learn how to bring about a yichud of man ban in our own lives. Zehevi lahamshik b'chinas a yichud mamish shu b'chinas nesuyin upnimius. And this brought about the whole story of Eliezer brought about this quality of unity mamish, which is the quality of nesuyin upnimius, and all of that in pnimius. Okay, we'll stop there, and we'll start with Pashtus tomorrow. If someone could just give me a pen for a second, I will mark that. And we'll go weiter from there tomorrow. Thank you very much. Okay.